again. Suppose you're wondering about the fur hat. I think in Russia it's called an ushanka. This one's Turkish. I got it from Turkey for only like $50 delivered to my door, which was really cheap. Usually they're like over $100 easy. But anyway, so why am I wearing it? Because it's damn cold. This is the same reason why I'm wearing this thing. You wouldn't believe. Such a big change in, pardon me, in weather conditions. Like 2 days ago when I was at the range, it was like, it was overcast, but it was dead calm. It was perfect. I'm going to get rid of this thing. And that's better. That's more like it. And today, man, I'm driving to the range and I'm having a look at the trees either side of the road, and they're just going all over the place. And I thought, yeah, it's actually a bit hot in this. And I thought, oh man, it's gonna be crap. And it was. It just rained all day. Just a constant. It wasn't a solid rain, but it was just a constant. Most of the time, a constant drizzle, and it just. It was my targets. I had to dry out my targets on the way home. I placed them along. Every time we'd have a ceasefire, I'd grab the target, because I only use A4 paper targets that I print out. I'd grab the target and I'd put it over the back seat of my car and wherever else I could to try and dry them out. It was just. It was a shit day, look, I went there today just to verify which couple, 2 or 3 ammos that were really worthwhile putting through it. Man, that light's bright. And I did that, even though the conditions, like in the beginning, the wind was okay, but then it just went haywire. It was blowing one way and it'd gust up, and then it'd die down, there'd be no wind, and then it'd change directions and gust up and blow the other way, and but you know what? Champions come through, and the really good ammo, it showed. Regardless of wind, speed, direction, change of direction, the good stuff is always going to perform better than the shit stuff, and it did. But anyway, first of all, I'm going to have a bit of a drinky because it has been a long day. I was there for 4 hours. 4 hours of straight of shooting, and man, I was punching them through. Like I did, how many? Some of the ammos I did 18, 20 groups of 5. I was just punching those things through. And I shoot quickly, and some people say to me, I've had people come up and say to me, you shoot too fast. And I say to them, no, I don't. And they say, what do you mean? And I said, well, it's this simple. What you do is you line the target up and then you pull the trigger. Simple as that. Oh yeah, but you need to go through this bullshit. You know what? You get that dot on the friggin' bullseye. What do you want to do? You want to sit there for a minute or two, ruminating over it? No, I just get that dot in the bullseye and pull the trigger. You squeeze the trigger, obviously. Don't yank it, but you're still pulling a trigger. Yeah, be gentle, and I don't reef on it. But once you got that thing centered, shoot. If we were in a battle situation, that's what you'd be doing. As soon as you got that thing centered in that, in the kill zone, you pull the trigger. You don't. Yeah. Anyway. All right. So anyway, I'm having a drink of Old Rosie, original cloudy British cider, and it's a bit of an acquired taste. Most people wouldn't like it in the beginning, and I didn't like it in the beginning, but it comes in like a 4 litre jug, sort of flagon, sort of demijohn sort of thing, and I thought, I'll drink it. By the time I drank like the last third of it, I was addicted to it. So I really love this stuff. And because it's cold, you know, I can drink this at room temperature, no problems. Like, there are guys that I work with who drink cold beer year round. Like, even when we're in a place where it's freezing, like seriously cold, and after work they'll be having an ice cold beer. It's like, what are you doing? You know, it's freezing cold, and there I am having a nice red wine, warming up, or a, you know, or a bourbon, you know, straight, neat. Yeah, anyway, that's enough about drinking. You can obviously surmise that I'm some sort of alcoholic, functioning alcoholic. Thank you. Yeah. So anyway, this is the rifle we're talking about, the Howa M model 1100, tactical. So chamber flag, nothing in the chamber. Now, how did it function? So this is going to be my final, you know, end all thoughts and what I have to say about the rifle. The bolt, it functioned fine, even though it's nowhere near as stiff as it used to be. It's a lot easier to lock, like it really is. How much of that has to do with the refinement that I did by rounding the corners of the root of the bolt handle, which is the locking lug. I don't know. It probably had a fair bit to do with it. But so the bolt functions fine. Extraction, now and then it still failed, meaning maybe if I don't know, I wasn't concentrating and reefing it back. Every now and then an empty case would still just sit in the ejection port. Whether that was probably me, I don't know. But you know, 4 hours, man, you got to concentrate on, you know, feeding it gently forward and reefing it back. You know. Now, one thing I'll have to apologise about is the magazines. All right. The magazines this time, they went in super easy. I didn't have a problem with them. I just wasn't used to how to load them, because they're not like, because I'm thinking CZ, and yeah, they weren't anything like. You got to sort of let them get in there. It's a bit weird, but this time around, maybe I had a problem loading the magazine once. And I loaded a shitload of magazines today, like a lot. So, magazine loading isn't an issue. The magazines aren't an issue. That's probably just me not being used to them. Something you've got to get used to. So, all in all, what happened? So, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I had 10 different ammos that I tested. I said I was going to test 7 or 8, but no, I tested 10. So, Winchester, what is it? Winchester Subsonic 40 grain hollow point. You know, I had one group of 0.56 and then the others were 1 inch or more. 1.2, 1.2, 0.91, 1.7, which is, yeah, pretty crap. But that's all I had left of it, and I wanted to shoot it off, and I did, and yeah, it didn't do very well. So that's Winchester, and I thought it was promising, but clearly not. Let's see. I'm going to do an average for this. Federal, what is it? So this stuff is supreme through my CZ trainer, like CZ trainer. It's the Federal Premium High Velocity Match Gold Medal. Gold Medal High Velocity Match. And this stuff is, I can't remember what the price of it is, but it's a hell of a lot cheaper than Ely. And it did a 0.427, 1, 0.94, 0.94. I think there's a group of 1.4, a group of 1.2, a group of 0.8, and a group of 0.64. So it was sort of, oh no, sorry. The Federal I only had 15 rounds left, and it was .427, 1.94. So I didn't have 15 rounds left. I could see that. I don't know what I did with it. I just gave up on it, I suppose. Now, this is probably at the end of the day, and I'd had enough. The Highland PPU, I thought had promise, but it did 0.94, 1.4, 1.2, 0.64, 0.8, so it was sort of all over the place. Yeah, nothing interesting there. Let's see. So next I'll do these first. The arms core, which is that stuff. Arms core. It's really cheap. Arms core. I only shot 3 groups. I think that's all I had left. 0.7, 0.93, 0.8. Yeah, nothing flash. Then Lapua Sanchez. I've still got a box left. I thought I'd shot all of it off. I was hoping I'd shot all of it off. I was aiming to shoot all of it off just to get rid of it so I'd never see it again. Because it has been consistently shit. You know, I'm not going to hold back in saying that. Lapua Center X. I don't even know which groups is which. That's how bad it is. Like, quite literally. There's just holes. It's just like Swiss cheese. I have no idea which. I think that's one group. And this then it's got shit off the page and down. Lapua Center X. This batch of Lapua Center X that I purchased, which was a whole brick, it must have been a Friday batch, because I have not had one rifle, and I mean not one, various brands, none of them shot a decent group through it, not one of them. And I've had, like I said, I've seen people raving about it. I don't know what's going on there. Right, so Aguila Super Extra, that stuff. I shot it all off. I had, I don't know how many rounds. I think I had 23 rounds or something left. Aguila Super Extra hollow point. How did that do? 0.92, 0.8, 0.7, 0.87, 0.9, 0.85, 1.3, but 4 of them are in 0.37, so yeah, it's sort of, so it averaged 0.92. If I include that 1.3, yeah, it averaged 0.92, so it averaged just under an inch, so yeah. Well, I was hoping good stuff for that too. Now, so now we get to the better stuff. RWS Rifle Match, which is not Rifle Match S, it's just Rifle Match. I only had 20 rounds left. So I shot those 20 offs, which is 4 groups, 0.62. I don't know what's going on there. There was this, I think that's from somewhere else, that hole. It just doesn't gel. So I'm discounting that hole because it actually looks different. It looks dry because as the day progressed, it got wetter and wetter and wetter, and the holes became sort of quite distinct. And that one looks like a dry hole. Definitely looks like a dry hole. So I'm discounting that one. So 0.62, 0.43, 0.86, 0.74. An average of 0.66. So yeah, a hell of a lot better than the others. Then we've got Ely Match. So as you can see, I don't know if you can see there. Oops, drop that. Maybe I'll use this as a background. So this is getting to the really good stuff. So there you go, piece of foam. Ely match. I mean, if you're going to be hunting with this stuff, yeah, no problems. You'd be shooting rabbits in the head, which is typically what I use the 22 for in the field. But the average was 0.74, which is not that crash hot, surprisingly, but it's still pretty good. Now, SK flat nose target, which is that stuff, the purple box. SK flat nose target. I mean, there was one group there at 0.29. You know. So, if I actually bought a brick of this and sorted it, maybe these groups would be a lot better. But I'm sort of, I don't know. Yeah, SK flat nose target, because it's actually, how much is it? Doesn't have a price on here. I'm not sure how much it is. It's probably not that expensive. It's probably cheaper than Rifle Match S, but anyway, the average was 0.653, which is pretty good. It's pretty good. So that's the best. That is the second best, and the best was, not surprisingly, RWS Rifle Match S. For whatever reason, you know, 22 rifles, they can be, it's totally subjective with 22 long rifles as to which ammo they are going to like. You just don't ever know. I mean, Ely Match always performs reasonably well or very well, but you never know. So, RWS Rifle Match S. What's the smallest group that I've got? 0.24. Yeah, 0.24 was the smallest group, and it averaged 0.5486. So 0.55. So just a bee's dick over half an inch is what it averaged. Let's say, all right. So it averaged half an inch with RWS Rifle Match S. Now, caveat to that is that the conditions were horrible. Probably some of the worst conditions I've encountered yet. Really cold, cold wind blowing, switching directions, gusting up, gusting down, dying down, picking up. It was just all over the place. So those groups are really not indicative of what this rifle is capable of, and yeah, I mean, yeah, with Rifle Match S, like if you were indoors, I reckon with Rifle Match S, you would probably be looking at a third of an inch. Same as Ely. Ely and Rifle Match S, if you were indoors and shooting groups, you'd probably be looking at about a third of an inch with this rifle. That's my belief, and considering the evidence, I think that's fair. Now, so to sum everything up, the Howa M1100 tactical 22 long rifle. My advice is steer clear of it. You know, if you've really got your heart set on it, go ahead. If you're a Howa fanboy like I am, well, I'll qualify that. I'm a Howa Centerfire fanboy now. You know, I think they've let the Howa community that has been developed. I mean, we're talking like the first real Howa that I'm aware of was this in Australia was the CMC Mountaineer. We're talking like 60s, 70s. So, from my experience with Howa rifles, that's how long they've been around for. I didn't have one back then, but they've been around for such a long time. The 1500, the Howa 1500, the basic Howa 1500 action, which has probably gone through a few iterations and a few slight modifications over the decades, but when it was finally established, this works, this is good, we can keep making this consistently. You know, what became established as the Howa 1500 and model 1500, and was sold by so many different brands: Smith and Wesson, Mossberg, Husqvarna, you name it. Everybody sold it, right? Because it was just so good for the price. You know, as far as value for money is concerned, you cannot beat a Howa centerfire rifle. For what you're getting and the money that you're paying, you really just can't beat it. I wish they'd come out with some models that had iron sights. That would be nice, but yeah. So, in my opinion, when they brought this thing out, what they've done is that they've done themselves a disservice by putting their name to it, you know. And this is going to sound weird, but I consider it a personal insult as a Howa fanboy. And you know, at every turn, at any opportunity that I've ever had, I've always pushed Howas and said, Howas are fantastic, you should buy a Howa. First gun. Anyone who asks me, oh, what first centerfire rifle should I buy? Buy a Howa. All right. I've consistently trumpeted that line, and they bring this out, and it just doesn't. Howa, it just doesn't cut the mustard. All right, it's a big letdown, and I'm really disappointed and disgusted that you should put your name to this. And yeah, like I said before, there is no way, when this rifle was put together, there is no way in the world that someone loaded either snap caps or rounds or whatever into a magazine, put it in the rifle, put the bolt in, and chambered it around. No one did that. There was no testing done on it. All right, it's impossible. It couldn't have happened because of what happened. You saw what I went through. All right, it couldn't have happened. So you really, really need to up. I mean, it only takes 5 minutes to do that. All right, just to test to see if you can even chamber it around. All right, that doesn't take very friggin' long. Get a couple of snap caps, put them in a magazine, load the magazine, push that bolt forward, see if the thing will even chamber. So I've made my decision. You probably know what my decision is. I'm going to get rid of it. You know, I'm going to sell it cheap, so that people can't say, oh, you know, I got ripped off. No, I'm going to sell it dirt cheap, and like it functions now. I've fixed the problems, and I've heard from other people on comments and that you know they've got examples that function perfectly and they don't have a problem with. There was one guy who commented and he said, yeah, he's 22 LR, he had serious problems. He had all the problems that I had, and then he had a 22 Magnum where he had no problems. Now, you can't do that. You really can't do that, because you know what? Good news. People aren't interested in good news. People are interested in bad news, and bad news travels fast and faster than good news. If someone buys a rifle and the thing functions properly, they don't go around telling everyone, hey, I bought this rifle and it functions. It functions like it's supposed to. Because everyone's going to say, yeah, all right, go away. But if someone comes up to someone and goes, hey, I bought this rifle and it's a piece of shit that doesn't work, people are going to go, oh, okay. Hey, you know what? I think I bought a piece of shit that doesn't work. That's how the word of mouth works. And this Howa 1100, I'm not surprised that there's a whole lot of reviews done on it and a whole lot of people pushing it, because after the dramas and just tribulations that I've gone through to get this thing to work properly, my advice is stay away from it. you know, being a Howa fanboy, it hurts. It really hurts. I've owned that many Howas, and I love Howa centerfires, and for them to put this piece of, it's just wrong. It's just wrong. Someone needs to be fired. Whoever made the decision and gave the green light on this in Howa should be fired. No, they shouldn't be fired. They should be hung, drawn, and quartered. Is that too harsh? No, it's not. Most Howa, enthusiasts would say, no, that's too little. Should be hung, drawn, quartered, and then burnt. Yeah. So anyway, that's the results. That's the end of it. I've got to go to work in 2 days, so I'm not going to get to the gun store or the gun stores. So I'm going to go to work in 2 days. When I come back, I'll be working for a couple of weeks straight. When I come back, this is going into gun store on consignment, really cheap. Just get rid of it. I don't want to ever see it again. It's not a complete disaster. It functions, right? It functions, but the reason why I'm going to get rid of it is because I'm so disappointed that how I did this. I'm taking it as a personal affront, a personal insult. I'm taking this to heart, Howa, because for a very, very long time I was saying, hey, you know what, man, Howa makes such good centerfires. That 1500, it's the bomb. You know what? If they brought out a rimfire, they would sell like hotcakes. And guess what? Like, they brought out a rimfire. And is it selling like hotcakes? No, because they made a piece of shit. What were they thinking? Anyway, so that's enough. All right. Until I come back from work. Oh, I've got to test. When I come back, I'll test fire the Diana air rifle, which I've put the Vortex tuning kit in. I've been focusing on this. I've spent so much time on this that I've just left the Diana alone. But so I'll be testing that, and hopefully my permit to acquire for the Persian Mauser will have come through, and that's going to be c'est bon. Oh yeah, work of art. So until then, see you later.